Welcome, everyone. One more time, we are going to work with some words here, and we're going to use our identification of clauses to see if that's going to help us identify some problems that we have within our sentence structures. Again, this worksheet originally was from my Upward Bound students several years ago, and we use this as a process to help us with our editing of our papers. And I took some sentences from an assignment that they did, randomly put some sentences in here, and then together we went through the process identifying the verbs, the subjects, the predicates, and the identifying the conjunctions, and we were able to identify some structural problems and be able to clarify and clean up some of our writing in that process. So we've already dealt with sentence number 1 and sentence number 2 and recognized that they were pretty chaotic. And through that process of identifying verbs and subjects and then kind of taking a step back and seeing what is that author really trying to get across, able to clarify and make those sentences a lot more clean and concise, which is the ultimate goal of this process. Sentence number 3 is what we're dealing with now. And it's not going to be as difficult of a sentence as the previous two ones. And after this discussion of question or of sentence number 3, the additional practice will be done in the classroom as we go through the rest of these sentences together. But hopefully these 3 conversations will help create a foundation so that we can grow and move forward and have more one-on-one or classroom types of discussions with the rest of the sentences. All right, here we go. Question or sentence number 3. You need to do all your work and follow instructions. Okay, initially that does not sound horrible, and it's not horrible. It just needs a slight fix. But let's go through the process. So first of all, we're going to identify the verbs. We have the verb need. That is, in fact, a verb. I'm going to put that in blue. Follow is the next one that I quickly identify. And that is it for the verbs. Some of you are going to say, wait, Mr. Kimball, what about to do? Well, to do, that's one of those infinitives that we talked about with verbals. They look like verbs, but it's not as actually functioning in the sentence as a verb. So we're going to ignore that for now. We're just it's not a part of our conversation that we need to have for clauses. Okay, so we're going to throw that out. Not get rid of it in the sentence, but just throw it out in our discussion point. So first of all, we found the verbs. Next step is find the subjects. Who or what need? You. You need. Okay. I will underline that, and I will also put that in green. Our next verb is follow. Who or what follow? Well, it's not going to be and follow. That doesn't make sense for a subject. Who or what is actually follow. The word is you. You follow. Okay, well, that's all the way up there, Mr. Kimball. Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. It is okay to have a subject way up there, and that same subject is actually doing 2 different verbs. They don't have to be right next to each other. I can complete a thought, and then I can have another verb and complete that thought. So the structure so far, I do not have a problem with, but I do understand follow is the verb for you. So I understand that you has 2 verbs with it. Not an issue. Okay. Third step is to complete the thought. You need what? You need to do all your work. Okay. That I'm going to put in gray because that's the completion of that thought. And then you follow what? You follow instructions. So that's going to go with that one. So follow goes with instructions. Okay, so the only word that we have not highlighted so far is the word and. And I do recognize as a conjunction, so I'm going to put it in orange, but I need to make sure I understand what that word and is doing. Conjunctions do 3 things. It's either joining words, phrases, or clauses. And I'm going to go ahead and throw phrases out because phrases are the groups of words like prepositional phrases, all your work, which that's going to be part of the issue in just a second. All your work. We don't have a prepositional phrase. We don't have a prepositional phrase before or after it. I'm just going to throw that one out. So we're left with 2 options. It's either joining words or it's joining clauses. So let's address clauses. Clauses, every clause has to have, that's right, subject, predicate. So we look for, that's why we do this whole process. That's why we look for verbs, we look for subjects, we look for predicates. So clauses have to have subjects and predicates. We do have that on the front end, you need, but we don't have it on the back end. We don't have another subject. We don't have the word you repeated here. Okay. So we do not have two subject verb situations. So by the nature of the beast, we only have one clause here. So this is not, this word and as a conjunction is not joining clauses. So now we understand it is in fact joining words. The two words that it's joining, the two verbs. You is doing two things. You need and you follow. Okay, so conceptually, I understand that. That's not a problem for me. Okay, you need to do all your work and follow instructions. So far, the structure is not necessarily bad, but I do recognize a little bit of clarification that I need. And one thing that I hinted to just a moment ago is we don't have prepositional phrases. Some of you probably thought right away, yeah, you kind of do. That all your work, that's a prepositional phrase. The problem is the word all is not a preposition word. It's not that in, out, above, over, under, but there is a word that's kind of left out. And I don't know if it was deliberate, if it was a typing error, or if it was just you write like you speak, and sometimes we leave out important words and it's just kind of an understood. But I would put the word that's supposed to be here, of. You need to do all of your work. And then when you add the word of your work actually becomes a correctly written prepositional phrase. You have the preposition plus the rest of it. Okay. And really, that's the only major change that I would make here. Then it becomes just a preferential thing. Do you want the subject verb repeated, or do you want to keep it the way it is? What I mean by that is after the word and, do you want to put in, let me get rid of the highlight because I saw that starting to pull over. Do you want to add the subject again? And then for clarification, that doesn't sound right. You need to do all of your homework and you follow instructions. That doesn't make sense. You would also repeat the original verb, need to follow instructions. You need to do all of your work and you need to follow instructions. So I'm trying to develop that parallel language. Then it becomes a little bit of a problem because after the verb at the beginning, I have a infinitive. And then back here, since I added the word to follow also becomes an infinitive. So, hey, this doesn't belong as the verb structure anymore. So, just by the nature of what I'm trying to get you to understand, we are cleaning some things up. So, I'm going to take that off of the verb list and I'm going to stay consistent with what I had at the beginning of the sentence. So, that's going to be the verb there. And then I have the subject restated here. And that's a preference thing. Do you want all of that? Or is it okay just to keep what we had a moment ago? And let me go back just a couple of steps here. Without the word you, do we want to keep it here? And that's writer privilege. I think it's clear the way it's written right here. And if this was me personally writing this, I would leave it here. You need to do all of your work and follow instructions. I think that's a clear and concise sentence. So the only thing that I did to clarify this is recognize that there was not a complete prepositional phrase, and I added the word of to this. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this process is going to help you as you edit your own papers, and it's also going to help you clean and clarify and make your sentences concise so that the reader clearly understands what message you're trying to get across. Find the verbs. After you find the verbs, find the subjects, find what finishes that thought, the predicate. And then as you have conjunctions in your sentence, in your clauses, find out what the real purpose of that conjunction is. Is it joining words, phrases, or clauses? If it is in fact joining clauses, then make sure that your clauses completely make sense. Okay. So hopefully this whole process is going to help you edit your papers and become a stronger writer. All right. Have a great day. I will talk at you later.